But now we want to bring in former D.C. homicide detective and Fox News contributor Ted Williams. He's on the phone with us. Ted, you've got your ear to the ground. You've seen situations, unfortunately, like this. What's the latest from what you're hearing?
Well, I got to tell you guys, my heart goes out to the Boulder community in regards to this targeted terrorist attack. But it appears as though this was not only targeted. I think they're going to find that this was actually planned over a period of time. What we have been able to determine so far is that this Run for Their Lives group, a group that brings awareness to the Israeli hostage situation in Gaza, that they do this on a weekly basis on a Sunday. And it seems as though that the person that they have incarcerated at this immediate time was a person who allegedly threw these incendiary devices, the Molotov cocktails, and set these people on fire, some of them. But this is something that I have been deeply concerned about, and that is lone wolves. And lone wolves working in America. Right now, we need to face the reality. America is a ticking time bomb when it comes to terrorism. And my rationale for saying that, guys, is all we have to do is to go back about a month or so ago where the governor's mansion in Pennsylvania was firebombed. The governor being a Jewish governor. Then we look at most recently here in the District of Columbia, where we had at the Jewish Museum the two young people whose lives were snuffed out. We are dealing, I also believe, with possible sleeper cells in this country. All of these things come about at this immediate time, and these are things that intelligence units are in all of the major metropolitan cities and around the country need to be aware of.
Yeah, Ted, I think we've still got you there. I'm not sure if you can hear us, but to your point about, your concern that there could be others here, sleeper cells or even others influenced. We're just now seeing a tweet from Tulsi Gabbard, the Director of National Intelligence, and she's saying that the National Counterterrorism Center is now working with the FBI and local law enforcement on the ground investigating what she calls the targeted terror attack against a weekly meeting of Jewish community members who had just gathered in Boulder to raise awareness of the hostages kidnapped during Hamas's attack on Israel on October 7th. She thanks first responders and local authorities for their quick response and action. But, this is certainly a quick reaction from not only the FBI, which, would normally otherwise be quickly on the scene anyway in a situation, but specifically the Director of National Intelligence to say we're wasting no time trying to put together pieces which may indeed lead to exactly what type of terrorism they would call this. Now, for everyone watching at home now learning about it, it clearly looks like it's motivated by the Palestinian conflict, and that we will find out from the next press conference if the police chief can tell us what some of the local witnesses are saying, that there may have been words spoken by this man, the attacker, that would give away that motive quickly. But you are seeing it's now the DNI, Tulsi Gabbard, with the National Counterterrorism Center diving straight into this with the FBI and local authorities on the ground. And you're seeing a number of Democrat lawmakers, the governor of Colorado calling it a heinous act of terror, the representative Joe Neguse calling it terror and anti-Semitism. And here in New York, where we've learned that the NYPD say they're monitoring this and increasing security here in New York City. You've now got New York City Mayor Eric Adams weighing in. He says this: another act of horrific, vile anti-Semitism and terrorism in our country, as an individual violently attacked a peaceful crowd in Boulder, Colorado, gathered to call for the release of hostages still in Gaza since Hamas's terror attacks on October 7th. While we see no nexus to New York City at this time, the NYPD is increasing resources at religious sites throughout our city ahead of the sacred holiday of Shavuot, which you pointed out, Lauren, just a moment ago. So clearly this is being viewed, until they tell us it is terrorism, by bipartisan eyes as definite terrorism. And Tulsi Gabbard now diving.
The deputy director of the FBI is saying our leadership team is on the ground in Boulder. They will be updating us shortly on the attack in Boulder. The act of terror is being investigated as an act of ideologically motivated violence based on the early information, the evidence, and the witness accounts. We will speak clearly on these accounts when the facts warrant it. That comes from the deputy director of the FBI, Dan Bonino, just moments ago.
Ted is still with us. Ted, I want to bring you back in. In the wake of the Boston Marathon bombing, there were a great many people that fled that scene. There were bags left behind. We're looking at a scene there on the ground right now where they're still concerned, where they still have a wide perimeter, the 1,200, 13, 1,400 blocks of Pearl Street. We've been showing that map. They've been asking people to stay far away from that area. What are the authorities on the ground dealing with right now? What are they looking for? What do people there on the ground need to know?
Okay, what the authorities are primarily doing is they have cordoned off that entire area. That area is now a crime scene. They're looking at all of the articles that may very well have been left on that crime scene. One of the things that they're doing also is looking at as many video feeds in that area as they possibly can get their hands on. And that is going to help them in two different ways. One way, it'll help them to establish when the alleged person that has been arrested, when he got to that actual scene. They may be able to show that in one of the video feeds. It will also help them to determine how long this guy may very well have been planning these attacks. That's very essential to the investigation. I want to also say, look, we in America have to be more proactive in law enforcement when it comes to these terrorist attacks. We can't always be reactive. Right now, we're somewhat reactive because we're talking about what we're going to put into place and how we're going to protect certain groups that may very well be targeted. But we have got to take this fight to the terrorists. And I don't think we do that well enough at this stage. We do have intelligence units in this country, and those intelligence units are part of the state and federal and local government. And we need to form some kind of a joint terrorism task force that will work toward bringing and rooting out the various terrorist sleeper cells that we have in America. And believe me, we have sleeper cells in America. So these are some of the things that they're doing. As it pertains to the person that they have taken into custody, they have, by now, they know a great deal about that person, I would have to believe. And quite naturally, they're going to his residence. They're talking to people, relatives and friends and individuals who know him. And they are also doing a social media scrub to try to find out as much as they can to try to determine what was his motive. We believe from all indications that not only was this a terrorist and targeted attack, but that this also very well could be considered a hate crime. And I've heard several of the politicians that have chimed in on this talked about the fact that it could very well be a hate crime. And so all of those things are on the plate of law enforcement at this time as they look into this matter.
Ted, we are grateful for your insights. Please stay with us.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.